Kit, I don't want you to give me a buy, hold, sell on Bitcoin, but I want to talk about how we're beginning to see institutional rationalization to move from effective bank transactions over to outright purchase of the crypto story. You know, and it's all part of the, well, it's part of a carefully balanced portfolio. I get that. Is it?
Look, I think the world is going to move towards digital money. The central banks are going to work it out. They're doing an enormous amount of work on it under the guidance of the BIS. So I think in that extent, yeah, we're going to get digital money. Now, that's a whole different question from whether cryptocurrencies, which are intended to avoid the official financial system, will develop a serious value as a store of wealth. What is clear is that they can't all, so there'll be more losers than winners out of that crowd of cryptocurrencies. But it, you know, it is a rebellion against the world we're in of zero negative rates and of kind of the kind of monetary policy we've had for the last decade, and that's real. And at the same time, it's a realization that we're using less and less cash, and that digital money and digital central bank money is going to be a thing in our lifetime. But you know, we are still in the foothills of this story and how it plays out, and trying to guess what wins in it is really hard.
On the Bloomberg folks, no, you can't see that, I guess. I was going to put up the Bloomberg keyboard, but it's tethered in here because of my big fat fingers. And it's got yellow keys, and one says equities, one says bond, one says currency. Kit Juckes, Bitcoin is slotted on the Bloomberg terminal under currency. Does it have any currency attributes?
It has about as many as gold does conceptually, minus the jewelry aspect. So if you really looked at Bitcoin, you'd say that if you're a gold bug fanatic of the value of gold, your advantage is that there's a supply and demand of gold that comes from its use as a store of wealth and from its use in some industry, but a lot also in jewelry. Bitcoin is aspiring to be one part of that bit. So we debate gold as a currency or a commodity. We could debate Bitcoin as, does it have the currency aspect of gold because it doesn't have the commodity aspect? And I think that would see, you know, both one of its weaknesses, but what it aims to be in the future. And then then we'd get back into the questions about, you know, what do we do with the fact that it's so volatile, and that the buyers of it at the moment are, to a great degree, buying it because they think it's going to go up in price rather than because they need it for something.
Right. I was going to ask you actually, Kate, what does, if anything, Bitcoin track? Like, what does it move on the back of?
Well, it moves on the same things as gold, as, you know, the value of the idea of a store of value where negative real interest rates will support it, where it's going to be perceived as an inflation hedge over the long term, as a place where you can store value outside the regular financial system. So competing for, you know, Swiss private banks' attention with other assets of that kind. That, I think, is where it has to be, and certainly until it can get to the point where it can be used for transactions in a big way. But, you know, you could imagine a world where people who are much wealthier than any of the three of us might use cryptocurrency for big transactions as being a convenient way of doing things. But they have to evolve into that role, and they have to cope with the desire of some regulators not to lose control of money.